Drive safely.
For 1,000 feet tall. I'll talk about the history of Chicago by way of the buildings, of course. We'll talk about that tall blue building here on the right-hand side in a moment, but let's talk about the Marine Safety Station. See that 1930s structure here on the left-hand side? That's where the U.S. Coast Guard and Marine Police live 24/7. Those two fireboats are where the firemen live. So the firemen live on the boat on the left-hand side. That's the older boat, and they run into the newer boat when there's actually an emergency. Boats are entering the locks right now. There's two sets of those gray double doors. The locks keep the lake out. The lake is higher than the river by 4 to 6 feet at all times. So those locks are keeping the lake out. Any boat wishing to exit the river has to go through those two sets of gray double doors. Big, because you don't know how long it takes you to come back in. So on 4th of July, you can get stuck out there literally for hours if you're a recreational boat. Our kinds of boats, the commercial passenger boats have priority, and then industrial boats have priority over us. So if you're a wreck boat, you can literally be out on the lake for 4 to 6 hours on 4th of July because there's only one locks. See this in the city of Chicago. See how it curves in and out? Pretty atypical, right? Most buildings go up in a straight line. This building curves. See how the building is clad in multiple shades of blue? The architect Jeannie Gang intended for those various shades of blue to resemble the various shades of blue of the Chicago River she's designing. It's called the St. Regis because there's a big rectangle at the base. That big rectangle is the hotel. The building is called the St. Regis because the St. Regis Hotel has a small hotel, 197 unit hotel at the base of that building. A great photo right here of downtown Chicago as we come out from under the bridge as the sun goes down. So that's a 197 room hotel with that big rectangle right there, the St. Regis. Above that hotel is a massive condominium structure, almost 400 condominium units above the hotel. And the number of 400 doesn't really do justice to the vast majority of the building. 90% are condominium structures or condominium units. If you look closely, now that we're closer, the wider the portion of the building, the lighter the shade of blue. I've already seen many elements of the Burnham Plan in action. Daniel Burnham had studied architecture in Paris, like so many architects of his era. And Burnham wanted to make Chicago the Paris on the prairie. Burnham, on the plan, doubled the width of Michigan Avenue. That's the avenue the race cars are taking today and tomorrow. That double wide Michigan Avenue is modeled after the wide boulevards of Paris, France. Also on the Burnham Plan was the Riverwalk, which we passed on the main branch, modeled after the river that cuts through Paris, the Seine. And the last thing I'll mention on the Burnham Plan is the extensive lakefront and park system here in Chicago. The whole lakefront is parked from the north to the south. World, this actually functioned until 2011. We have lots of old power plants. There's another one down the river right here that functioned until 2015. There was actually two coal power plants functioning in Chicago until around 2015. They're both shut down now. So this was functioning until has been successfully converted to a mixed-use facility that's very popular in London, but this is way too small and you can't get there. Largest permanent light display in the world. The city of Chicago conducts a half-an-hour light show every night, 9 o'clock, 9:30, and 10. The city uses 34 laser-pointed projectors to produce an audio and visual show every night. The projectors are so cutting-edge that the light does not enter the windows, but only strikes the limestone and metal on the outside of the building. The facade of that building is 2.5 acres wide. And I'll just jump off the mic as we pass under the building. Remember, it's audio and visual. Listen for the sound. And to our left is a great view of downtown Chicago. Feel free to stand up and stretch your legs and take some photos. I'll come around and see if I can take any photos for you and yours. Flag me down if I can. I'll be back in the mic in a few to bring us right back to our dock. This is our last opportunity to use the restroom before we head back to the dock. So feel free to go ahead and use the restroom now before we head back to the dock.